Hey guys, Shane McMurray from the Wedding Report. In this episode, I interview Vanessa from Little Black Book Events, located in Washington, D.C. They are an event planning company. Enjoy. Vanessa, tell me about your business. Tell me what you do, what city you're in, your website, Instagram, all that good stuff.
Yeah, so my business is Little Black Book Events. You can find us online at www.lbbconcierge.com. You can find us on Instagram at littleblkbk, so Little Black Book, hyphenated there. So we are an event planning business. We've been around for a little over 6.5 years now, based in the Washington, D.C. area, but we go wherever our couples are. So we travel all over, especially in this area, Maryland, Virginia area, where we're all up and down the Beltway. So like I said, we do event planning, and we really specialize in creating shared experiences for our clients. So, I always tell people the color of the tablecloths matching, the napkin matching the bar napkins, that's all important for the general look, but it's all about the feelings that you're creating at your event. That's the thing that you'll remember. That's the thing that people will remember walking away. So that's what we do.
That's awesome. So that area, DC area, there's quite a bit of stuff around. So
yeah.
So do you spend most of your time in the DC metro? Would you say, like Maryland?
A percentage. It's all over. So we get couples who live in DC who want to get outside of DC. So one of the big things that a lot of people are thinking about specifically when it comes to their weddings is, once again, going back to that creating an experience. So a lot of couples are thinking about creating a weekend experience. So it's not just the ceremony and the reception, but adding activities into that whole weekend for their guests. So for instance, I have a couple who's getting married in Charlottesville, which is about 2 hours outside of DC. So it feels like a destination. It's still fairly easy to get to. Most people don't have to get on a plane to get there, but it feels like you're outside of the city, right? So you get a lot of folks creating things like that. In Baltimore, you have some really great, in Baltimore and eastern parts of Maryland, you have Chesapeake Bay, so you get the water feel. In Virginia, you have the wineries, you have your farms as well. So you get a lot of different things. And in DC, you have folks who are in DC who, are looking for kind of that museum feel, something more formal. So the area has a lot of really different types of venues to offer couples.
Mm-hmm. So, mostly like in the industry, when we talk about destination weddings, we're usually talking about like people flying somewhere and going away. But what I found is that couples actually think that even if I'm 25 miles away, I could be going to a destination wedding.
Right.
Do you feel like that's the case? Like you just said, so you're DC, but you want to go to Charlottesville, or you want to go to the coast of Maryland. To me, that's they're thinking, oh, this is a destination wedding. Do you feel like couples are in that same realm?
Yeah, because because you still get that feel. You're not at home, right? And you get the feeling of being someplace else, but it can be a little bit more cost effective. Or sometimes with destination weddings, the guest lists tend to be a little bit smaller, just because not everyone is willing to jump on a plane. So you could still have the people you want, at the wedding, and like I said, from a cost perspective, typically it's a little easier to make a drive, than it is to jump on a plane somewhere. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Cool. So tell me kind of what goes into the work that you do. So, if I'm someone who wanted to work with you, we meet, right? We have a conversation. Let's say I book you. Tell me what goes into that work after that.
Yeah. So one of the things that we really focus on is getting to know the couple. So, tradition is important. What your cousin did at their wedding is important, but we really want to understand you as a couple and understand what makes you all who you are, right? And what's going to represent you. So we really want to focus in on that. And we always tell people, look, it's your party. You can do what you want. If you want 10 flower girls, I don't recommend that, but sure, why not? Let's do it. If you want 0, that's also fine. You aren't breaking any wedding laws. No one's going to come and fine you for not doing that. So encouraging people to kind of think outside the box and do what feels right to them. The other thing that we established at the very beginning is what's important to you. So we try to pick 2 to 3 things that are really important to the couple. So, the next day when you wake up, what do you want to say about the day before? Is it, wow, I can't believe I got that really awesome photo, with my grandmother and, that side of the family who I haven't seen in years or hasn't gotten together in years? Is it, the food was amazing or the party was amazing? Like, what are those things that are very important to you? And then as we're creating the budget and doing everything else, we're always coming back to those 3 things, 2 or 3 things. Sometimes there's a few more that are very important for the couple. So that at the very least, if we cover those things, then everything else is just kind of filler in between. So that's kind of what we do starting out of the gate. With my clients, I do use an online portal where we're keeping track of all of our checklists, our timeline, our budgets. So it's kind of a central place for us to do all of our planning and manage everything in one place. And so we're kind of just going through a planning checklist. And typically, most people who hire me, they have full-time jobs, right? And they don't want to take on a second as wedding planning, which is why they hired me. Yeah. And so we're kind of going through things step by step. So, the couple's not feeling overwhelmed or like, oh my gosh, I have all of these different deadlines for these things. So we're kind of going step by step, we'll close this piece out and then we're going to the next just to make the process as easy as possible.
Yeah. Yeah. Earlier you talked about like shared experience.
Yeah.
And I was wondering, could, give me some examples of like what you would say is like a shared experience.
Yeah, so I think when we talk about shared experiences, talk about how you're bringing guests into the event. So they aren't sitting as a spectator at the event and that they're involved. So you think about things like I had a couple who, for their table numbers, they had a book, like a little booklet at each table. And so if you were at table 2, write some fun things for them to do in their second year of marriage, or advice in their second year of marriage, or anecdotes from your second year of marriage, or, those types of things. Yeah. So kind of getting your guests involved and engaged. Another thing that I've seen that's been pretty popular are kind of activity stations at the reception. So doing things like a local beer tasting or local just alcohol tasting. In the district, we have more wineries and distilleries popping up. So, doing a whiskey tasting, that's a fun thing. Or I've had weddings where we've had a cigar roller there. So there's a guy who's actually rolling cigars and people can come up and ask him questions about different things. And so those types of things I think are fun and really get, and not every wedding is a big dance wedding. So yeah, sure. I think things like that are especially valuable when you have a crowd that maybe, isn't so much a party crowd, but yeah. The party crowd loves that as well too. So.
Yeah. Do you find that there's always like like the party crowd versus the like just more laid back crowd? Is that evening out like from or do you find that, oh yeah man, 80% of weddings are just party or?
I mean, people like the chance to get on the dance floor. I mean, most people, well, I'll say probably within a certain age bracket, yeah. Aren't going out and dancing every weekend. Yeah. I am not. Yeah. So people tend, it's not my thing. So people tend to like that excuse to kind of get on the dance floor. And a lot of times you're seeing, Aunt Sue on the dance floor and you're not used to seeing her, like, so that kind of thing is fun. I do have couples, there are couples who are more loungy and they know that about their crowd. So usually if it's going to be a more laid back crowd, the couple is aware of that and there's no surprises like, oh, why isn't everyone dancing? So we can kind of account for that with everything that we're doing at the reception. Also, I think the important thing is to make sure that you're pairing your entertainment well with your couple's personality. So, does the couple want to party? Do we need a DJ that's going to encourage people to get on the dance floor? Right. Do we want the DJ to be background? Like people will kind of take care of themselves. We don't really need a hype man. So really understanding those dynamics, I think, is important as well.
Yeah, that's cool. You talked earlier about like weekend getaways, for a wedding. And you talked about other types of events. What do you see other people doing like for different types of events?
that are just kind of out of the box,
Yeah, kind
sort
of
of.
out of the box, it's not just the ceremony reception, but we're doing stuff out of the box, like either prior or after. I mean, what are you seeing?
Yeah, so I'm seeing a trend with welcome receptions. So instead of just doing the traditional rehearsal dinner, people
Mhm.
are expanding that to be an event available for the larger body of guests.
Yeah,
So especially if it's an out of town thing. So even if they do sort of a private dinner with family, then they're opening it up for like drinks and appetizers for
yeah,
people coming in. So things like that. Obviously, the day after brunch is a popular choice as well too, and keeping that open. Um, People are organizing tours, so that's especially popular in DC.
mhm,
Doing getting one of the duck tour buses or something like that, renting
yeah,
something like that specifically for guests. Or I had a couple do Madame Tussauds Wax Museum, which was really fun for
nice,
guests. So
yeah,
I think, there, and especially in this area, there's a lot of fun things like that that you could incorporate into the weekend for guests.
yeah. That sounds cool.
Yeah.
Um, so for couples, what advice would you have for them? If you were to give them one piece of advice today, what would that be?
At the end of the day, you'll be married. That's what's really important. Hopefully that's what's important to you. If that's not what's important to you, then, maybe we should just be planning a party versus a wedding. But at
Yeah,
the end of
right.
the day, you're married. You're marrying the person, the love of your life, and the rest of your life starts the day after the wedding. The wedding is just the beginning piece. So try to, make sure that couples kind of keep that in perspective. Obviously, we want the day to be everything that they want it to be. There's just so much anxiety and stress and anticipation wrapped up in the day. But yeah, you will be married. If nothing else, at the end of the day, you'll be married.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
that's true.
hopefully, knock on
Right.
wood. If you're
Yeah,
not,
yeah.
something went very wrong.
Hopefully everything goes smooth, right? And everything's good. Yeah.
Right, right.
So tell me a little bit about the logistics of the day. Like, so, you've got all this stuff you have to work up to, but tell me about what goes through your head and all the stuff that you got to do to make sure that the day goes off well.
Yeah. So we have a pretty detailed timeline that we work off of. And prior to the wedding, we're talking to every single vendor, getting every single vendor to sign off on that timeline. So even if the photographer has their own timeline they're working off of, everything that's on their timeline is also on my timeline, and
Gotcha.
they're aware of everything else that's going on as well throughout the day. So making sure that we're planning for everything to kind of work in sync and work together, I think is step one. Step two, we talk to our couples about, potential issues throughout the day. So, you know, my parents are divorced. This is the first time they're seeing each other in 10 years, those types of
Yeah,
things.
that's
So,
fun.
yeah, and it could be completely fine, but those are the types of things that me and my team need to be aware of. So it's not just about, the first dance starts at this time. It's about the entire day and everything that goes into that day and the people that are there. So, those are the types of things that we put in our timeline. So it's typically at least a team of two, sometimes a team of three based on what's going on in the day. We're typically the first in, last out. So we're getting there first as vendors are coming in, making sure that things are set up properly. We already know what the vision of the day is supposed to be, what the couple wants, what they don't want. So we're making sure that everything gets set properly.
Yep.
And then just taking care of the couple's needs as they are getting ready. And typically, hair and makeup and the photographer is primarily who's taking care of them in earlier in the day. So we're just checking in, making sure that everyone has what they need
Right.
to get that piece started. And then as guests arrive, just, the main two questions are, where's the cart box, where's the bathroom? So getting people situated and oriented for the day, answering any questions that they have. And then just getting the couple through the day, working through the day. So, if photographs are running 15 minutes over, letting catering know that we need to extend cocktail hour another 15 minutes. Just making sure that everyone stays connected and communicated. Uncle Joe wants to give us a surprise speech. Obviously, always clearing it with the couple.
Yeah.
Making sure that we work those types of things in. And just making sure that things kind of go smoothly throughout the day, and that any issues that come up, we're able to handle those behind the scenes. And I always tell folks, usually 2 to 3 things happen throughout the day that weren't supposed to happen. 90% of the time, my couples never know. 90% of the time we can handle it without having to pull them in, which is really our goal.
Yeah.
That everything just kind of keeps going. And so we're there all the way down to breakdown, making sure that things get broken down properly, people get their deposits back and all of that good stuff, and everyone gets out and cards and gifts get in the right hand, and the venue is kind of reset for the next day.
Yeah. You mentioned it, like there's always a couple of things that go wrong, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's just the nature of what would you say is probably the most popular thing that usually happens that goes wrong?
I don't know if there's just one thing. Probably with something with the guest count. So, or the seating chart. So somebody gets put at a table that they don't think they're supposed to be at, or somebody gets left off of the list, or it was a late addition. So you kind of have those issues, because managing, I say the seating chart is one of the most stressful pieces of the planning process. Figuring out who sits where and the politics and all of it.
Well, you don't want the the mother father that's been divorced for 10 years kind of hanging out at the same table. More than likely, right? I mean,
right, more than likely, yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's those types of things. I think sometimes that those smaller details that kind of get missed or lost somewhere sometimes. So I'd say probably that's the most popular issue. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So let's switch gears a little bit. Let's talk about the business side. And what would you say is working well for you right now, business-wise?
So I've worked really hard to craft my branding and my messaging, and that's working really well for me. 90% of the clients that I'm getting are clients that I want to work with, because they're interviewing us, but we also are interviewing them, right? So we're all spending a lot of time together. So we want to make sure that we can work together and that we're a good fit. So I think I've gotten my branding and content to a point where I'm attracting the couples that I really want to work with. And so, I have couples, as I put together my website, I put together kind of what my ideal couple was, what I wanted to convey. And when I'm meeting with potential clients, they're saying those things back to me, which is a really cool thing to have happen. Yeah, so it's like, okay, that's working. We're gonna leave that there. So that's one of the things that's working very well for me.
That's what I was going to ask you, is like, what in your messaging, because you talk about brand and messaging. Well, what in the messaging do you think, or the brand, that's really speaking to specific people? Because the key is getting people filtered out that aren't your customer, right? The people that you don't really need to, that you don't want to do businesses. What do you think is like the messaging part that's been key to help you get the right people in?
Well, I think part of it is on my website, I have a lot of different types of photos on my website. And so that's important to me, is that I have a diversity in look. And so people will say, oh, like, it seems like you do lots of different types of weddings, or lots of different like interfaith weddings, or just things that are out of the box. I'm not really I can do a cookie cutter wedding if you want, but that's not really kind of my style and the type of client that I'm typically working with. Also another thing too is, like I said, I'm working with clients who don't want wedding planning to be their full job. And so they're typically working professionals. And so there's a certain amount of trust that they have to be able to give me to work with them as their planner. So, talking about the different things that I'm able to do, the types of responsibility that I take throughout the process and the way that the process works, I think is also important. Because if they don't trust you to do the work, then it's just going to be a very long and hard process.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So on the flip side of that, what would you say is not working well right now?
Yeah. So I think for me, one of the biggest things I'm working on right now is trying to build my team out. So I have a couple of assistants that I've been working with for a while, and just the process of trying to teach them the process rather. And so, they're seeing it on the day, but everything else that goes into that process, from the time you meet with a client till, they leave for their honeymoon. there's very specific language that I want to use. There's certain phrases that I want to use. So for instance, one of the things that's a small thing, we don't have a day of package. We have a wedding day management package, and it's a higher priced package. But what we want to convey is that we do more than day of. And here are the things that we need to do to ensure that, the planning that you've done is going to come to fruition on the day. Yeah. So things like that, and just kind of teaching someone to talk the way that you do, but still putting their own spin and personality on it, because I don't want them to become me. I mean, if I could clone me, my life would be a lot easier, but I love my assistants. I love working with them. I love who they are. And so I want their personality to come through, but I also want to make sure that things are done in a very specific way, because kind of going back to that branding again, I've branded things in a very certain way. I have a certain reputation. And so I want that to span across everyone who's working with me. So I think that's a challenge.
Do you find it hard to find good people, or do you feel like it's the challenge of being able to convey what it is you want to say from your brand, your perspective, and then being able to teach that?
Yeah, so I've been very fortunate. I found some really great people. I think, I don't know that it's necessarily the people piece, but it's just the translation piece, I think is more so it. I mean, I've worked really hard to templatize a lot of stuff. So, if this is the type of email that we're getting, then here's the base email that you start with, and then you kind of layer on top of it. So trying to just go, and it's hard sometimes when you've been doing the work for a long time, everything is in your head. And so getting it out of your head, document it, yes. And which is a good thing for me too. It shouldn't be in my head. It should be out there, and it helps me too working with couples. So I think that's the hardest part for me.
Yeah, I agree with you. So for businesses, what specific advice would you give them if you were to give a business one piece of advice? What would it be?
Don't forget the business part. So, as creatives, I know it sounds so simple, right? Yeah. We have this skill and we're good at it, and people will pay us for it. So there's the passion there, there's a profitability there, but you have to be able to sustain it on the back end. And so, setting up a customer relation management portal, a CRM portal, or what do your contracts look like? Do you have a contract? What does your billing look like? What are your financial goals? Are you paying taxes quarterly? Like all of those different things. When you have employees or, contractors, what does that look like? Yeah. What do you have in place to protect yourself, protect them, but also protect you as well? I think in this industry, a lot of times we have the strength on the creative side, we have the skill, but in order for you to last, you gotta think about that other piece of it.
Yeah, that's usually the challenge, especially in this business.
Absolutely.
As a small business owner, you have multiple hats you have to wear. It's not just build this thing that you do. You have marketing, you have accounting, you have sales, you have all of the taxes and regulations and compliance and all those other things that go with running a business, right?
Right. Yeah. And one of the things, over the past couple of years, I'm the type of person that I'm like, if I have the ability to do it, then I'm going to do it. I've changed from that mindset. If I can outsource, if I have the resources to outsource it, and what made it click for me is I was speaking to a client and I said, you're hiring me because I can do it better than you. I know how to do this. I have the experience. And it's like something in my head said, okay, well, how well do you know how to manage QuickBooks? Somebody else out there knows how to do it better than you. From a legal perspective, somebody knows how to do it better than you. So why can you give somebody else that advice, but you're not taking your own advice? Right. So obviously when you're starting out, you don't always have the resources to hire out. But I think as you grow, that's important, because you want to free up your greatest asset, like your mind, for the things that are going to continue to make you money, and let the people who are good at those things, let them do that for you.
Yeah, so. That's great, Vanessa. You want to play to your strengths, right? What are my strengths? Let me work on that. And then let me outsource, or at least, it's okay to, I think, understand those things, because you got to learn them and kind of understand them and go through some things. But if you can financially, right, or you should try to outsource some of those things. It just makes your life easier because then you can focus on, the stuff that you're really good at, right?
Absolutely.
All right. So tell me your best or worst wedding or business
Oh,
story. What do you got for me?
oh, geez. I got a few.
Okay.
Well, so one, I'll say this one. This was a bad situation that turned good. So I had a wedding at a winery out in Virginia. And, as always, I always collect all of the contracts beforehand. So I have the most recent contract from all of my vendors. I get to the site. Rentals were supposed to drop off earlier. The tent was set up. The chairs were set up for the ceremony. I go under the tent and there are no tables.
Oh,
So
yeah.
so I said to the venue manager, "Hey, is the rental company coming back? Did they say anything to you?" And she said, "No, they dropped off like 6 hours ago." And so I'm like, "Okay." So I called them and they said the tables were deleted off the contract. And I said, "No, I'm looking at the contract right now, dated here. Why would the tables be deleted? Why would you deliver tablecloths and no tables? That makes no sense whatsoever."
Sure.
So like, "Well, we're all the way over here, and I really, it doesn't matter how it happens, but I need this number of tables in this amount of time." From wherever, I don't care where they come from. So the guests started arriving, and good thing that there was a tent. So things were cut, we put the tent
Yeah.
sides down. The ceremony was outside. So guests are coming in, the ceremony is starting, tables are coming in as the ceremony is starting.
Wow.
So cocktail hour was thankfully in another location as well. And I mean, we had everyone, the photo booth guy was putting up, everyone it was all hands on deck.
Yeah.
And I think we started the reception 15 minutes late. But that was, I mean, it's a bad story, but it's a good one because I also talk about the team of vendors, right? It's important that they know how to do whatever they do in their lane, but you want to work with people who are going to work with other people because stuff happens like that. I mean, and like I said, it was all hands on deck. Everyone was just in there with catering, getting everything set up so that we could, move forward. So, to me, it's really important that I'm working with people who have that team mentality.
I've heard that a couple of times actually, where there's been issues and everybody just pitches in and tries to just,
Yeah.
because they're all there for them, right? They're there for the couple.
Right.
And so it's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Vanessa, thanks so much for your time. I really appreciate you doing this. And we'll
Great.
talk soon. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Hey, thanks for checking out this episode. I hope that you found it helpful. Please share it with other people. Also, if you're getting married or you work in the wedding industry, I would love to interview and share your information with other people. Send me a text, 520-399-8580, or shoot me an email at letschat@wedding.report.